My name is Chad Hoover.
My name is Brandon Overstreet.
My name is Russell Dillon.
My name is Alfonso Jack.
My name is Lisa Bennett.
I'm Jack Snore.
Cody Prather here.
My name is Matt Ball.
My name is Josh Carter.
My name is James Bush.
My name is Luke Stocking.
My name is Jeff Jones.
Brian Volpe.
My name is Jeff Hodge.
My name is Kevin Franklin.
My name is Jamie Clancy.
My name is Lonnie Ellaby.
My name is Randy Howell, and you're listening to the Faith and Fishing Podcast.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Faith and Fishing Podcast. I'm your host Cam, and we have a full episode this time, so buckle up. Before we get to our interview with the one and only Kate Field, just a quick update on how things have been going. First, Henry has been sick, so it has been crazy, and at times it's been a difficult 2 weeks with some scary moments, but he is feeling a lot better now, but it seems like I have caught whatever he was dealing with now, which you can probably hear. So if this episode's introduction, learn from my mistake, product spotlight, etc. sounds over edited with cutouts and stuff, I'm just cutting out coughs, so just keep that in mind. But I was able to get a couple fishing trips in, which was really awesome. I don't normally get 2 days in 2 weeks, and it was really fun. The first day was the best numbers day I've had in a while. And I was able to get a really nice fat 4-pounder. The second day I went out, I was able to get out with Ryan from the Outdoors to Go YouTube channel and Instagram account. I'm going to leave links in the show notes to his stuff so you can check him out. A great guy and a fun trip. He caught a pickerel and I caught another 4-pounder, but this time instead of fat, this girl was long. She had no shoulders, but she had the mouth of an 8-pounder. All in all, it was a great time for fishing since the last time I recorded. Yeah, I feel like there were other things that I was going to talk about, but I am getting tired of talking already, and we've still got to get through, learn from my mistake, the product spotlight, and we've got to get Kate introduced. So let's jump into all that while I still have it in me. For this episode's Learn From My Mistake, let's talk about stuff. These past 2 trips while I was out on the water, I packed too much stuff. Difficult to get what I needed, hard to find what I was looking for, getting tangled up in too many rods that never got picked up, black pack weighed 40 plus pounds too much stuff. I'll be honest, I haven't quite learned my lesson on this one yet. I'm not sure what I can teach you other than to narrow down what it is that you're taking with you and what you think you need to take with you. The second trip I was out on a new body, so I can kind of justify having that much stuff. But that first day I was out on a body of water that I know extremely well and probably would have been fine with 2 or 3 rods and a tackle box. So yeah, don't make things more difficult than they have to be by overpacking to the point of potentially ruining your day. Now let's get those spotlights turned on and talk about something I love, a way to protect your gear. Get Outdoors Pedal and Paddle in Greensboro, North Carolina offers a huge variety of kayaks, kayak accessories, stand-up paddle boards, and bikes and biking accessories from all your favorite brands like Yak Attack, Bonafide, NRS, Bending Branches, Kayak Cushion, Perception, Native, and many more. Get Outdoors offers demo days, rentals, repair and outfitting, expert rack installation, as well as courses to get you comfortable in your new boat. Check them out at shopgetoutdoors.com or stop by the shop and tell them Faith and Fishing sent you. So if you've ever gone back and forth between cheap sunglasses and quality sunglasses, you can absolutely tell the difference. If you're like me and are super clumsy, that might hold you back from buying nicer sunglasses and be stuck using sunglasses you won't be upset to lose. This may not seem like the worst thing ever, and to be honest, I guess it could be much worse. But the comfort, durability, and performance of good quality sunglasses are hard to replace. I wanted to get some nicer sunglasses, but I needed some insurance of some sorts first. Y'all know I keep Savior outdoor retrieval devices on my fishing rods, my Tacticam fisheye, and some of my other gear. and I like knowing that my stuff is safe. I have used floating sunglasses retainers before, but I wasn't a fan. They were stiff and hot, like a pool noodle wrapped around my head, or they had a big cork float dangling from them, or they just didn't float, or a combination of one of those things. Enter Atollas Gear Floating Sunglasses Retainers. I first heard about them on the Final Cast, which is a gear review podcast on the Paddle and Fin Network, with Brad Hicks, who has been on our show before, and Josh Eldridge, and I was intrigued, but when I saw the product, I was skeptical. I couldn't see it being comfortable. So what it is, there are 2 thin silicone bands that attach to the earpieces, and in the middle there's a float. So I recently got a nicer set of sunglasses, and I felt good doing it because these things existed. So here are the things that I have found out about them. 1, the comfort is surprising. The only time I know that they are there is when I have my sunglasses up on top of my head and I turn my head real fast. The float ends up swinging around, but other than that, these things are so comfortable that you don't even know they're there. And I just wasn't expecting that, considering how they look with that big bulb in the middle. 2, and most importantly, they work. I wanted to test them out, and I'll be honest, I didn't trust them fully yet, so what I did was I attached my floating net to my kayak and dropped them in with my sunglasses to see if they worked. And they kept them afloat, so I got a little bit braver, and instead of dropping them in, I tossed them in. Even with me tossing them in, the float never went under the water. I thought with the extra force it would go under and pop back up, but that wasn't the case. 3, I think they look pretty cool. They have a lot of different colors to match what it is that you want to match. And lastly, I really wanted to give these guys a shout out for their customer service. So I reached out on Instagram to ask if they were going to be making a longer version for those of us who, shall we say, are in the higher percentile of head circumference. I've got a big old head, and they actually responded and told me some of their future plans, which I don't know if they want shared or advertised just yet, so stay tuned into Atollas Gear on Instagram to find out about those plans. And they also offered some advice to help out. So my problem was that because my head is already so big, I had trouble taking them off over the bill of my hat when I needed to. They let me know that these things are made to be tough and encouraged me to stretch them out over the bill of my hat when I need to. They assured me that they could take it, and if they ever ended up breaking somehow, they are backed by a lifetime warranty. So if you want to keep track of your sunglasses, check out atollas.co. That's ATOLLAS.co, and I'll leave links in the show notes for you. Now let's get our guest introduced. Kate Field has been traveling the country fishing bass tournaments out of her kayak for about 2 years now. She has overcome a lot to do so, and has made some scary leaps of faith, which we will get into in the interview, and reminds us that chasing your dream isn't always rainbows and sunshine. But amidst of all the bad, she still has a message of hope for us. I'm going to let her do the talking now because she's a lot better at it. Jade's Jigs, based out of Southwest Missouri, make finesse jigs without the lead. Jade's Jigs are made with an eco-friendly tin bismuth alloy that weighs less than lead, meaning you can get the same water displacement and profile size with less weight on your finesse presentation for the fish to feel. Jade's Jigs offers a variety of styles, including Ned heads, finesse EWG heads, and skirted finesse jigs, and they are ready to ship, so you get the custom quality without the custom weight. If all of that wasn't enough, they flat out catch fish. Head on over to jadesjigs.com, that's JADESJIGS.com, to see what they have to offer, and since you are a Faith and Fishing listener, you can use promo code FNF10 to save 10% on your order. Kate, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, Cam. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to chatting with you a little bit here.
Absolutely, and I didn't ask earlier, is it Kate or Catherine? Which do you prefer?
I go by both, but most of my friends call me Kate.
Awesome.
But obviously, I sort of written things and everything, I go by Catherine. But just speaking. Just call me Kate. It's fine.
All right. We may use them interchangeably in this podcast.
That's fine.
So you have got to be one of, if not the most loved kayak anglers out there, which is, I'm sure, in part just because you're so freaking likable, but I also think it's also because you had the guts to live, our dream and actually do it. So you've got all of us rooting for you, but not all of our listeners are into the kayak side or even the freshwater side of things. So in case anyone doesn't know, who is Catherine Field?
Oh boy. Well, I guess hello. I don't know that I'm the most loved or anything. That's a tall order. I certainly don't feel that way a lot of the time, but I'm, I guess, what am I? I'm a middle-aged woman who decided to learn how to fish for bass and bought a kayak and sort of got into these bass fishing tournaments and really liked them. And now that's all I do. So I'm from Utah. I've been fishing. This is 2.5 years now for bass and fishing out of kayaks. And this year's been incredible. I've just really sort of jumped in the deep end and tried to follow this path that I feel that God has for me, and it's been not easy, but I've had a really good season. Just wrapped up pretty much most of the major regular tournaments. I had the Hobie Bass Open Series on Pickwick this last weekend. That was the 10th event. And now we're in sort of the postseason, so I'm heading into a bunch of different championships and just going for it. So that's, I don't know, it's part of me in a nutshell.
Absolutely. And whereabouts in the country are you in it right now?
I'm outside of Eufaula, Alabama. There's the Tournament of Champions for the Bass Open Series. I qualified for that. That is going to be in Eufaula in the second weekend of November. And there's a cutoff period for practicing and pre-fishing. So you can't pre-fish October 1st through November 5th, a few days before the tournament. I, being a new angler, and very new to anything in the Southeast, fishing in the Southeast, I decided to come down here and just fish around Eufaula. It's obviously going to be very different here in middle September as to what it might be in the middle of November. So I'm doing a lot of pre-fishing with that in mind as far as how things are going to change. But I just wanted to spend some time on the water and try and learn this fishery a bit, and because I'm new, I'm at the very bottom part of a very steep slope on the learning curve. So I decided to really apply myself and invest as much as I can into this and see what it'll take me. So that's where I am right now, and it's beautiful down here. It reminds me a little bit of Lake Seminole. Trees have hanging moss on them, and I saw 3 alligators today. So it's a different world than I'm used to, for sure.
Absolutely, it sounds like my cup of tea. But yeah, so it's interesting hearing you say that you are new, because it's funny to think about it, because you said you've been fishing for what, 2.5 years?
Yeah, I bought my first kayak through the end of 2018. It arrived in Utah. I got it out once or twice maybe before the snow set in. It snows a lot there. And then April of 2019, was my first bass tournament. I met a group of people called Kayak Fishing Utah. I'd really gotten the kayak to fish for salmon and trout. And they said they fish for bass, and I had never gone bass fishing. So I tried to fish like all winter in southern Utah, where it's the couple lakes that don't freeze. They had some bass in it, and learned to bass fish and teach myself there. But did my first tournament in Utah in April of 2019, and I loved it. And I did sort of the local Utah trail, and then in the beginning of 2020, I started trying to do the national trails, so the Hobie Bass Open Series and some kayak bass fishing. But my year got a little cut off because of COVID, and all of that, everything that entailed. But I really sort of jumped in the deep end as far as tournament fishing. And this last year, so, last year was sort of my first foray into the national scene, and then this year was really, I just dove headfirst into it. Quit my job in January and decided to do this full time and travel around America and go as hard as I can in bass tournaments and see how far I could get and go up against the top anglers in the country as a new person. And my goal, honestly, was to try and finish in like the top 30%. That was sort of my stretch goal. If I could be in the top third of anglers after the end of the season, like that would have been amazing for me. I had no conception that I would be where I'm at now. I think I'm in the Angler of the Year. I'm on 12th out of like 600 people, and I'm probably in the top 5% after the end of the year here, and looking at about 4 championships. And I'm blown away because I've struggled really hard with some things in my life this year, and there was one point where I almost quit fishing altogether, and I went out and fished a tournament really just on faith that I was following the path that I felt God had for me. And I went out there, fished when I didn't even want to fish. And, I'm blown away by what I've been able to achieve. I would have never, ever, if you had asked me at the beginning of the year, like, you would be able to do all these things and qualify and cash checks and things, I would have never thought that even possible. I was just trying to get a limit. I was trying to catch a fish, and I don't know. It's really hard to wrap my mind around it, but I've worked really hard to get there.
Absolutely. I kind of did like a cheer and a fist pump earlier whenever I looked at the roster for the TOC, the Tournament of Champions, for the Hobie series, and there were a few names I was looking for up there, and yours was one of them, and I saw it and I cheered for you.
Thank you.
But yeah, I've never really been big into the tournament scene, but your story kind of stuck out to me, and I kind of have been following your forays this year, and I mean I've been super impressed, but know that you've already passed a lot of us in terms of in terms of experience. Even though it's only been a couple years, you've put more time into the water in this past couple years than I have in probably the past 10. But yeah, I wanted to talk about the that kind of leap of faith that you took. quitting your job, and kind of going out. Why fishing?
So that's a complicated question, I guess. But, so I guess the one thing I didn't talk about and all that is, through my adult life, I've been dealing with a neurological illness. And I grew up fishing for trout and stuff with my family and my grandparents as a young girl. But early in my adult life, I got a virus that attacked my central nervous system. And in my 20s, it had attacked some of the nerves in my spine, and so I had paralysis in my right leg from the knee down. And that I was in a lot of pain. My immune system was in the toilet. I eventually, it took me like about a year of physical therapy to get to the point I could walk. Walked with a cane for at least a good 10 years. And then later that virus activated again and attacked one of my thoracic nerves. And so I've been in the latter half of my life dealing with that, and that it's been just this intractable pain. And so I was a pain patient for a lot of years, living on hospice doses of fentanyl and not a very good quality of life. And all this fishing and going outside and doing things like that was stuff I could never do anymore. I had hoped someday maybe I could do that, but I was just focused on trying to have a functional life and have a job and be able to pay my mortgage and not be on disability and be able to get through just being a functional adult and take care of myself and not depend on anybody. I've got through my stuff in the pain clinic, I got a spinal cord stimulator implant, and I've had that for a number of years. And over the years, I was able to, just really slowly build up my strength. And then by the time I moved to Utah, it's basically just all I could do was work. And that was my focus, was my job. I didn't have a lot of social life, just for the health reasons and some other, just honestly trust issues with people in my life. But, as I was able to slowly get better, my late 40s, I was able to go and fish from the bank finally and fish for trout. And then I took this big leap of trying to be in the kayak, which for me was a really big deal, a very physical thing that was going to really stretch me to my limits. And last fall, at the end of the Hobie Bass Open series, so I have this device that basically tricks my brain that I'm not in pain, even though I am. It just tells my brain perceives it as something different using this medical device. And that pulse generator that runs all this weird stuff in my body, it broke last fall. It quit working. And I was in Tennessee at the time. So Boston Scientific, which is a company that makes this thing, got me hooked up with a doctor, and they went in to replace this pulse generator that runs everything. Well, I woke up, it was supposed to be like a couple-hour surgery and just swap out this new thing for the old one for a new pulse generator. And I woke up 8 hours later, and it turned out that the leads had swollen inside, and they wouldn't fit in the new thing that they were trying to put in there. So they had to redo the entire implant. And I woke up to that in excruciating pain and no pain management, and it was questionable if I was ever going to fish again. I didn't know if I was going to have a functional life again. And it made me realize how quickly things in our life change, and we I was taking this for granted, this thing inside me, and then the minute it stopped working, I was back to where I'd been, and that scared me a lot. And I really went through a very intense struggle with the pandemic. I couldn't see my family. I was alone for long periods of time and really struggling. And it was just me and God, and a lot of the time. And I just came to understand, like, everything can change so quickly. I can't say, like, I'll be able to do what I'm doing tomorrow. I don't know that I could do it next year. All I've got is right now. And I didn't want to wait. And I felt like this calling in my life that I had been able to push through in fishing, and I felt like I had a message to communicate with other people who were going through similar struggles, whether it was pain or issues with just faith or abuse issues in their life or other difficult situations. Like, I felt like I had a chance to communicate what I had gone through and share that with other people. And fishing felt like a calling for me. And that was sort of scary because I was going to give up what I'd worked so hard to have, which was to be a functional, independent person with a job and a career and excel at my career. And I was going to throw that all away and drive around the United States not really knowing where I was going to be or where I was going to stay, and compete against the top people in a sport that I'm new to. So but I just felt called inside to do that and to take that risky attempt in my life, because life is so precious and you don't know what's going to happen. And all I can do is look at what I have right now. And I didn't want to just go farther in my life and go, man, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have just taken a year and gone and seen what I could do.
Right.
I didn't want to wait till I'm 65 and see what I can do then. I just felt there's no guarantee, and there's no guarantee that I can do this, next week. So yeah, I guess that's my driving force, is really understanding how transient and malleable life can be, and trying to take advantage of what I have and get through the struggles that are in front of me. I don't know if that makes sense or sounds crazy, but that's sort of the driving force, and I can't explain why. I just feel that passion inside of me, and I feel called to do that, and so that's what I've tried to follow.
For sure. So you get this calling, and like you said, you decide to go all in. You dive in the deep end head first. Mm-hmm. How did your friends and family react to that?
My folks obviously were concerned. But they also have seen me go through what I've gone through. And they've seen me at times where I couldn't walk. So I think they were concerned about how I was going to do it, and I'm sure everybody thought I was pretty crazy because I don't have a lot of experience and nobody does that. But I just believed in myself and took that scary leap of faith. And I had some friends who seemed supportive, and the closer I got to making that decision, they started saying, "You sure you don't want to just work full time? Or are you sure you don't?" They didn't believe in me, and that was really hard to hear their doubt in me. But I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's complicated, and it's when you take your life and take it in an uncharted course, and it hasn't been all roses. It's been very difficult, but it's definitely been a journey and an exploration, and I've deepened my faith in this process in probably ways that I wouldn't have. So
Absolutely.
I don't regret my decision. And I don't know what the future holds, but definitely is. I'm just going for it, and hopefully, I don't know where it's going to end up. I absolutely have no idea.
So, I something that I've always said. I know why people do it. Like friends and family, parents with their kids. You want the best for them. You're scared for them. But something I've always said is the worst thing that people do is say, well, make sure you've got plan B. Make sure you've got a backup plan. Because what ends up happening most of the time, plan B becomes an anchor. You're told, go chase your dreams, but make sure that you're also going to school for something that you can do, or you keep this job that you're doing, and so you can only chase your dreams on the weekends or whatever. And it's something I definitely feel strongly about, and it's one of the reasons that your story is so it resonates so strongly with me, for sure. So what kind of roadblocks have you come to? What are some of the, you said it's, one of the important things you said was it wasn't all, I can't remember what exactly you said, but it wasn't all rainbows and sunshine. What kind of roadblocks did you end up coming up against?
Oh, a lot of this, when I had made this decision, I spent time trying to sort of figure out budget-wise, like what it was going to cost me to do this and how I was going to, you got to buy gas and food and find places to live on the road. And,
yeah.
There's definitely, you have to do some planning and budgeting. And I'm going to be, there's some things I can't really discuss, but, there were, a situation I had with someone in my life, it just blew up. And I've been dealing with really struggles with a toxic person in my life, and trying to get through that and deal with some very damaging behavior and damaging experiences, and had issues with my home, and so I've just pretty much been living on the road for what is it now, September, so pretty much been living on the road and crashing at people's houses and living out of my car since January.
Wow.
Mid-January. And I'd planned out how things were going to go, and I was going to have some sort of a home base that I was going to stay in, and, things just didn't go as planned. And, I've lost, because of sort of this stuff going on, I've lost a lot of friends. There's just been a lot of bad stuff, and I've been struggling to just cope with that and deal with that, and try and do the right thing and try and live a Christian life and act out of love and kindness, and I've found myself in the middle of a spiritual war, to be honest. And there's just, I don't know, maybe other people don't believe in this, but I definitely believe in this. And there's a war going on, and I just feel like I've had to deal with a lot of spiritual attacks upon myself, and there's times where I just wanted to give up. I felt like I wasn't, why was I taking all these risks? Why was I doing all this? Everything was messed up, and that's really, I've struggled with forgiveness, and I'm gonna sort of segue a little bit. Some friends had recommended a book that I read called The Bait of Satan. Have you ever read that book at all, or heard of it?
I've heard of it, and I can't remember if I've read that one or not.
It talks about sort of the trap that we fall into when we take offense at things, and some of it is, honestly, it's justified. Bad things happen, and people treat us badly or whatever, but the bait is when we get offended by it, that we become resentful and bitter, and we don't forgive. And it talks about how for us to find forgiveness from God, we have to be able to forgive as well. And that's been a real journey for me in how do I deal with circumstances in my life, with things that are not cool, and forgive and act out of love. And if someone's how do you respond, like it says in Romans 12, like someone curses you, that if someone persecutes you, that you bless and not curse. And it's been just a real struggle for me. And I know I'm like off on a very deep tangent here, but it's definitely, this year's been a spiritual journey for me. Not just, it's been a struggle just with fishing and doing all that, but just growing in that spiritually and going through the different challenges in my life and learning to really put my faith even stronger on God and lean on God and try and walk those principles, I guess. I don't know if this is making any sense, Cam.
Absolutely. It definitely is, and I definitely want to...
That's why when you said, like, I'm the most loved or what, it's like, I certainly don't feel that. I mean, I've been dealing with some things, and that's been a real struggle in my faith is how to continue to love when I feel like I want to, like, don't fight, don't retaliate, and don't play into that trap and try and act in love like Christ would act. It's been a very difficult year in that respect. So
yeah.
So because I often don't feel that. Sometimes I don't feel loved or cared about. I feel alone a lot, and those are all struggles. I think the enemy wants us to believe we are alone and that we are unlovable and that we are unworthy, and none of that's true. It's all just a deception, and it just takes a lot of effort, work to keep focused on that.
Absolutely. And I definitely want to make sure that I tell you I appreciate your transparency and your vulnerability there. That is something that you and I spoke about this the other day. Is something that is not there enough. Everybody has to put up this facade that everything's always okay, and it's not. And I feel like whenever we can be vulnerable, and let people know, we are struggling. We do have these hard times. That's whenever the community can really shine. That's whenever we can really build each other up, and if nothing else, be there for each other. You may never know how much difference a shoulder to cry on can make. So
and I know I'm not the only one, and that's why I feel like, while I know I'm being purposefully vague and not, it's because, and I'm not going into a lot of detailed specifics, but, I want to be able to share that part of my life because I want people to know that I know I'm not the only one that goes through this. And there's hope out there, and there's other people who are going through very similar things, and you can find strength and hope in that you aren't alone in that. And God is right there with us, and it's just very hard sometimes to see that. And I'm trying to do the right thing and share what I'm going through and share my journey through that and share my joys through that and everything else. I mean, it goes both ways. I don't just show only the shiny, positive joy thing, because that's just not who I am. I go I'm on a journey through a lot of different things, and some of it's great, and some of it's really hard. And how am I being honest to people about who I am if I'm not willing to share that part? And obviously I'm not going into a lot of specifics, mainly because I'm trying to do so out of love for the other person, and
Right.
and I want, I care about that, and that matters.
Absolutely.
And I don't wish ill will on anybody. I want everybody to be successful, and it's just we're in a spiritual warfare, really, and it's so easy to take the bait and not see and not understand that it's what the enemy wants. You want that division, and at some level you still got to have love for one another. And I'm trying.
Absolutely. That's really, really, really powerful stuff. We spend so much time making other people enemy, that we forget about the battle that's going on, and the actual enemy that we have, that is it feels like he's getting more and more powerful by the day. But something that somebody always told me was that he doesn't have any power you don't give him, and we need to stop giving him so much credit. But yeah, absolutely. But I definitely appreciate you and your sharing of your journey being real in all of your your social media and your videos and stuff. You're real, and it's hard to make a difference when you're not real, and that's something I definitely appreciate about you.
Well, I appreciate that, and I hope I make a difference. I just, if me sharing my journey helps one person get through their day and turn a corner in something they've been struggling with, then it's worth it.
For
if
sure.
I make a difference in someone's life for the positive, then it's worth it to me. And I don't know. Maybe
Absolutely.
I'm a way too deep emotional angler, but it's I'm a complex person, I guess.
Absolutely. So I definitely want to give you a chance to tell some lighter stories and some happier stuff. But there are a couple questions I always
Sure.
make sure I get to ask everybody, and one of those, it's my favorite. It's what fishing story or memory means the most to you?
Gosh. Honestly, probably the time I spent fishing with my grandfather. He was just one of the most kind, caring, loving people that I've ever met on this planet, and I just loved fishing with him. He always did like a funny whistle every time he catch a fish.
That's
and
awesome.
he whistled. A lot of people whistle through their lips. He'd whistle by curling his tongue. It was the most. I don't know how he did it. He whistled through his tongue, and he would just always just make this little whistle and a giggle, and he'd pull that fish in, and I really miss him a lot, and just, man, I just enjoyed fishing with him. And there's a lot of times, I remember once he had like a little leak in the engine, where the oil over time would sort of seep out over the motor. So you'd have to pull it off every once in a while and, make sure there's oil in it. And we were out on Lake Mojave, and we took the boat up miles and miles upriver, probably the furthest we'd ever gone in a one-day jaunt, and caught a bunch of fish and got back. And the next day we pulled the boat out to check it, and there was a drop of oil. We had ran that whole boat all day, and it just had water instead of oil in there. So I don't know how in the world we managed to get up and down the lake that day, but divine intervention is all I can say on that one. But that was good times. Miss those good times with family like that.
Absolutely. That's awesome. It's funny how it's always those kinds of stories that stand out. Those are the so I know you're tournament fishing most of the time, so you're not necessarily out fishing with a buddy, but when you're out fishing with somebody, what's your typical conversation centered around?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm notoriously a very noisy angler. I like to play music, and I like to sing while I'm fishing. So a lot of times it's some very bad. I serenade my friends a lot, very badly, and just a lot of joking around. I like to have fun. I will say this year, that's the one thing that I've really enjoyed is I have taken the time to go and spend a little time with people that I've met fishing in my different travels, and really been able to cement some of my friendships across the country just by going and visiting for a few days and fishing. And I just, when you spend so much time alone on the road, it's so nice to be able to fish with someone and just talk about everything, talk about all kinds of things. But yeah, there's a lot of tequila sunrise by the Eagles that happens. And a lot of it depends where I am, but it's a lot of tequila sunrise usually. But yeah, there's a lot of joking around.
That's awesome.
And also, I've been fishing lately. Usually we rename spots. So usually the spots are renamed after what we've been doing all day. So there's places on Gunnersville that, like, for example, I was fishing with a friend out there, and I was having to deal with a lot of business over the phone while we were fishing, and I could hear him like, "Whoa, there's another one. Kate, over here, I've got another." He caught so many fish while I was on the phone. And so now that place is called Phone Alley because he must have caught like 20 fish while I was on the phone. I missed all of it, and by the time I got off, the bite had died. So yeah, become notorious Phone Alley. But,
that's awesome.
It's some fun stuff. Yeah.
My fishing buddy and I, we name spots too. So, and it's funny. It just kind of happened one day where he there's a particular lake that I fish a lot where one of the things he always asks, "Did you eat it?" In this particular lake, you can't keep anything because of a bunch of pollution that happened back in the 80s. They're still trying to get that cleaned out, and so eventually he just started asking, "Did you catch that in a toxic place?" So that lake and that particular creek that I go down in that lake has kind of become the toxic place, and then there have been others that have jumped in on that as well. So I definitely love naming spots. That's awesome.
Yeah. So Phone Alley's one, and there's one, we got Nylon Cove because somebody had put a bunch of nylons up in the tree. Maybe just some weird stuff, but it's sort of fun having your own names you share with your friends on places. But yeah, I like that about it, It's been a good journey this year as far as just new fisheries, and I fished, all over the place. One of the most fun places I fished was actually Lake Wilson in Kansas. It's probably got to be my most favorite lake this year.
Okay.
It's just, they have just an amazing fishery. It's beautiful out there. And, man, I'd catch these big smallies, and the next cast I'd be hooking into these huge stripers, and the next cast I'd be into largemouth, and then
That's
I get
awesome.
some big wipers, and then this whole the stripers would blow up on bait, and there's just frenzy and whitewater flying everywhere, and just big fish. It was just so much fun fishing there, and you just never knew what you're gonna get. I caught like 5 or 6 different species on the same lure. So it's just amazing. But a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So is there a spot that's on your bucket list you haven't been to yet?
Oh gosh. Yeah, there's places in every state. I sort of have an endless bucket list, but I would say I really want to fish. This is more back towards my home. I really want to fish Lake Havasu in the spring. I don't know. It's been on my list to do it. I've never gotten to fish Lake Havasu, and so I'd really like to go do that. I really want to do St. Clair. I've never gotten a chance to do St. Clair. So there's some of those big legendary fisheries that everybody talks about. I'm sure not everybody talks about Havasu. That's just sort of like, when it's like cold in February or March and you want to go where it's warm and catch fish. But
yeah, I'll be honest with you, I don't even know where Havasu is.
It's in Arizona.
Okay.
Arizona and Nevada, yeah. The Southwest.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's just there's so many amazing fisheries out there, and
yeah. And you said you've got them in every state. You have one in North Carolina?
Oh gosh.
I asked because that's where I am.
Are you? Well, what would you recommend in North Carolina? I was gonna say, for a second my brain went Santee Cooper, but that's South Carolina.
Yeah,
right?
that's South Carolina. I would love to go catch some fish there. That would be fun. But
yeah,
it depends on what you're looking for. There's a place by the airport that I fish a lot that I've had a lot of luck at, but. If you want to go for something that people know the name of it and stuff, Harris Lake or Sharon Harris Reservoir,
right on.
There's some monsters in there, and all the locals. See, I moved here 4 years ago. I'm from the eastern part of the state, so I'm used to the coast and the swamps and stuff.
Yeah.
But everyone who grew up fishing this lake talks about how, it's such a horrible fishery now, and how it used to be so amazing and everything. Harris has always treated me very well, so I would definitely of the three big ones here that everybody talks about. There's Falls, Jordan, and Harris. Harris is definitely the one I would recommend.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely put that on my list of places to stop at.
For sure. And
it's amazing how many places there are to fish. Like, even like places like in Nebraska. Actually, whenever I go back to Utah and I'm going through Nebraska, like, I'll get a 1-day fishing license just so I can fish. There's like these pit lakes along I-80 that are like these little recreation areas, and they're all loaded up with bass and everything. So I'll like stop and at these sort of bunny hop my way down I-80 and go fish the like flooded gravel pits and things along I-80 for bass. And it's a lot of fun. But,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you do end up over here in North Carolina, let me know. I'd love to get to fish with you.
I would love that, Cam. That'd be great.
Absolutely. So to end us, we always do this with all of our guests. It's a segment we call What's Your Favorite? Pretty self-explanatory, but we're just going to have some fun asking your favorites in a few different categories. So,
okay.
So to get us started off, what's your favorite scripture?
Ooh. I would say Psalm 23. I say that psalm a lot when I'm fishing, surprisingly.
Absolutely.
Here's what's funny. His rod, okay, maybe it's not funny to everybody. It's funny to me because when I say it, like his rod and his staff that comfort me, I always think fishing rod. You know?
Awesome.
It's a fishing rod comforts me, so yeah. But,
so do you think God uses a bait caster or a spinning rod?
spinning rod.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think God's a finesse fisherman.
Wow. Hot take.
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
It's patient. Patient, that's
Good
why.
point.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What about a particular story from the Bible? Is there one of those that's your favorite?
No. No.
Awesome.
No. I will say, up until recently, most of the stuff I've studied scripture-wise would be I'd look up phrases on my phone. And I'd be like, love and Bible. And I'd search it online because I didn't have my own Bible for the longest time. And my friend Sarah Prather gave me a Bible, so now I have one that I can take with me. But so a lot of it was just I would search words and try and find things that way. So I'm not like the most scholarly Christian out there.
Absolutely.
my
That's
way
not
of
necessarily a bad
doing
thing.
it. Yeah, I don't really have things super memorized because I skip all over the place.
Right. For sure. Now, is that part of Cody's clan?
What?
You said, was it Sarah Prather?
Yeah.
Is that part of Cody's clan?
Yeah, it's his wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've had Cody on the show, so.
He's a very nice gentleman.
Absolutely. So, what is your favorite fish to catch?
Salmon.
Okay. Is there a particular
King salmon.
King salmon?
Yeah.
I would love a chance to get a hold of one of those one day.
Yeah. My biggest I ever caught was a 28-pound king. And I felt like I was hooked into a locomotive. It was amazing.
That's
Just
awesome.
an amazing fish. So
I definitely have heard a lot about their power, and I want my go at one at some point. But yeah, that would be awesome.
I miss fishing for them, but maybe someday I'll feel adventurous enough to go salmon fishing in my kayak again. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be awesome. So what's your favorite fish to fish for then?
Wait, say that again?
If king salmon's your favorite to catch, what's your favorite to fish for?
Well, I do like the bass, so I would say smallmouth.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
I really enjoy fishing for smallmouth.
Absolutely.
They are a challenge. For sure.
Yeah. Everybody is always shocked whenever I say I haven't gotten mine yet, but
You're gonna get one. Don't give up hope.
For sure. And what about your favorite fish to eat?
Oh my gosh. Pink salmon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's delicate. Fresh. They gotta be fresh though.
Yeah, for sure. And how do you like your pink salmon cooked?
Just a little, like, on the barbecue with just a little bit of lemon and some rosemary.
Awesome.
And some butter.
For sure. And what's your favorite fishing snack?
My favorite fishing snack?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a Cliff Bar girl. Yeah. Peanut butter Cliff Bars. It's sort of my thing.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I won't ask for secret spots or GPS coordinates or anything, but what's your favorite body of water to fish?
I would say my favorite... Well, that's like a tie. I have a tie.
That's fine.
I would say for largemouth bass is Lake Athens in Texas. And then for smallmouth, it's Lake Mille Lacs up in Minnesota.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
It's just beautiful fish, a lot of fun.
Awesome. And again, I don't want to ask you to give away too many secrets, but what's your favorite lure to throw?
Oh gosh.
You can say that's classified if you have to.
No, I mean, I fish a lot of different ways. But I love throwing finesse swim baits. I always have one tied on, and I'm always checking it a lot. So I would say finesse swim baits.
So how small of a swim bait is considered a finesse swim bait?
I use like a 1/16 ounce jig head with like a 3-inch swim bait.
Awesome.
Yeah, super light, super small. I like those little small tiny things. So.
Absolutely. And last but not least, what's your favorite time of year to fish?
Gosh. This is going to sound really bizarre, but I like fishing in the winter. And not ice fishing. But I would say like my most favorite is winter in the Southwest. It's challenging because the fish are super deep, usually on those lakes, like 40 or 50 feet down. But there's nobody out. There's like no boat traffic. I mean, you have the lake to yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
And I like that, being able to just go out and have this whole puzzle to myself to figure out and be able to catch some really amazing fish that nobody thinks are eating anything, but they actually are.
Right.
So, yeah. I don't know. I learned that when I did sort of a challenge with myself, and I'm still doing it this year, but it was like to fish 250 days in a year. So I learned that it's amazing it's amazing that you can catch fish in all kinds of weather. I've done it in, when it's nice and calm and sunny, but when you go out there and it's like hailing or snowing or, pouring down rain or wind or all the other things that you think, I don't want to go out fishing today. It's amazing when you go out there and spend the time to try and sort of figure it out. You can catch fish in pretty much any kind of condition. It just takes a little practice.
Absolutely. Well, we are going to start wrapping things up. So if you would, let us know, what do you have coming up for you?
Well, I've got the, obviously the Tournament Champions in November, but before that in a couple weeks, I've got the Lone Star Throwdown in Texas. We'll be fishing that. And then I'm going to the Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship over at Caddo Lake right after that. And then back to Alabama, I'm fishing the King of Bass Championship on Gunnersville against Mike Iaconelli, Ish Monroe, Zach Burge, and some other big dudes.
Awesome.
They're gonna try and kick my butt, but so I'm gonna do that, and then it's gonna be getting ready for the Tournament Champions. So I'll sort of wrap up my year, but some really big championships, and just gonna go for it and see what happens.
Absolutely.
It's the first time I've never fished in national championships.
Awesome.
On a live tournament thing, so this is my first time around doing it, so learning curve.
For sure. Yeah, we're going to be pulling for you, and we're going to be trying not to cheer for some of our other favorites too, but
cheer, there's room enough for everybody, you know.
You ever find yourself getting distracted, being starstruck with some of these bigger names that you're fishing against?
No. I know that sounds weird, but I feel like the way for me to get better is to go up against the best that are out there. And that's why I'm so stoked to go up against people like Ish Monroe and Mike Iaconelli and those guys, because those are they're like fishing gods, and
yeah.
when you're constantly putting yourself in that situation where it's sort of a tournament and stressful, and you're going up against these people, when you constantly are doing that and able to grow and catch fish and learn from it, it's it just strengthens you mentally in that, and you learn so much. So I don't necessarily feel starstruck. I just feel like it's an amazing challenge, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And this year has been a testament of that growth for you, that is for sure.
Thank you.
I want to give you open floor to shout out any sponsors, supporters, say thank you to anybody you need to say thank you to.
I just, honestly, I just want to say thanks for chatting with me and giving me a chance to talk about some things that are a little different than you normally talk about on some of these podcasts. So I appreciate the chance to do that and talk on a deeper level about things that are really important to me. And I want to just thank the people in my life that are there for me and that love me and put up with all my zaniness, and that are there and got my back, and that's really the people that are there and love me, and that's just meant everything to me. And, as far as sponsors, Roy Hobie Fishing, and Omnia Fishing, and Dobbins Rods, and Stealth Fishing, the rod holders. Those are my sponsors and supporters, and they've made that possible for me to really take this year on. So that, I couldn't do it without my friends and the support of those, and especially Cody and Sarah Prather and the Kayak Fishing Fellowship. It really helped me in some very key moments in my life, and I'm very grateful for them. So that's it. I just want to say thanks for that.
Absolutely. And if our listeners want to follow your adventures, follow you on social media, tell us about videos, social media, all that good stuff.
Instagram, Catherine_Field, and I suppose you could search up Kate Fishing. That might pull it up too. And Kate Fishing on YouTube. And Facebook, I've got a Facebook page. It's Catherine Field on Facebook as well. So my Kate Fishing usually pulls that up also from the Facebook page. But that started at 3, and I've sort of taken a little pause on the videos. Just was a little too much for me, so I'm going to be getting back into it, hopefully in the next few weeks and stuff like that. But I try and post as I can and share my journey, and I hope that it inspires other people to live their best lives, and hang in there. Have hope.
Absolutely. Well, Kate, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thanks, you for opening up with us and telling your story.
I appreciate the chance to do that. And you hang in there, and thank you so much.
Savior Outdoors means peace of mind out on the water. Savior makes retrieval devices for fishing rods, bow fishing bows, action cams, and more, so when you drop your gear in the water, you can get it back, meaning that you don't have to panic when your gear goes in the drink. Check out SaviorOutdoors.com, that's SAVUR Outdoors.com, to learn more and to try them for yourselves. And since you're a Faith in Fishing listener, you'll get 15% off of your purchase whenever you use promo code FNFP15.
Another huge thank you to Kate for coming on the show and really being vulnerable and transparent with us. Be sure to follow her. I'll have links in the show notes, as well as links to my buddy Ryan over at Outdoors to Go, as well as the Atolos gear, sunglasses, retainers, all things Faith in Fishing, Jade's Jigs, Save Your Outdoors, and Get Outdoors Pedal and Paddle. I'm going to get to editing and get some rest now. Y'all take care, and God bless.
Thank y'all for listening to the Faith in Fishing podcast. Be sure to give us a rating and a review if you enjoy the show. And follow the show on Instagram at Faith in Fishing Pod or at Facebook.com/Faith in Fishing. Be sure to reach out to one of the amazing pastors in your community if you have questions about faith, and make sure you join the Faith in Fishing community on Facebook. Special thanks goes to Tyler Worrell, the graphic designer behind the Faith in Fishing logo. The Faith in Fishing podcast is produced by Cam Steele, and the music for the show is written, recorded, and performed by Jonathan Inthlanzy and Cam Steele. Thanks again for listening. Y'all take care, and God bless.